truthfulness. Okay, yeah. Truthfulness is important.
Yeah.
Taking time off is challenging for myself in the world of entrepreneurship, is especially now, but even before.
Yeah.
And so it's super helpful when, as a couple, we can trust each other to lean in and be at our best, whatever season we happen to be in. I think that matters.
There are just moments, and my children have pushed me into areas of life where I'm like, never have I ever thought that this would be me or who I am or something I would do.
How you doing, babe?
Great. Great. How are you?
You know what? I'm doing good. Like, you know what? All is well. All is well. This is different. This is very
Do you see what I mean now? Do you see what I mean? Little disclaimer. I said, how we gonna do this? We gonna improvise? We gonna wing it? We gonna wing it. This is, yeah. Ernest was like, no, we have questions. I'm like, questions?
No.
Just as long as we have questions.
And they're written. Like it's a documented plan. Strategies all mapped out. First of all, salutations. Welcome everyone to the Pancakes from Scratch podcast. My name is Ernest Comer III, and I have my incredible wife joining me today, the Leila Whitney Pearl Comer. Goodness gracious. Look at it. My daughter's in the background as well. Our son is here too. He's upstairs. So maybe he'll come down and introduce himself in a little while. Okay, thanks, little one. So, Pancakes from Scratch podcast. Love to talk about, love to talk with good people doing good things. Today is no exception to that rule. However, this series, this conversation series is specifically focused on power couples, is what we're focusing on. Today, he's coming. All right, no, he's coming. He's an agent of chaos. They are here.
Go back.
All right, so power couples.
Yeah, power couples.
That's the focus of the series. I'm talking to a handful of couples who I'm familiar with, who I admire, and I would be remiss to sort of skip on the opportunity to feature my own family. And so that's what today's episode is, a featuring of my family. This is wonderful. The children, would you like to introduce yourselves?
My name is Harper Comer. I am 7 years old, and I do not like Roblox, okay? It's dirty. I don't like it anymore, but I used to like it.
Listen. I don't know if they caught the wave. You might have to do it again. See, the strong wave. The strong wave.
The Tristen man. Here's a fact for everybody.
Yeah.
There's 3 Geminis, and this is the Sagittarius.
Okay. That's going to be helpful for people to understand.
Absolutely.
3 Geminis and a Sag. That's what our household looks like.
Yes.
Ever since my dad got this rock necklace, he started being a rock collector.
You know what? You want to show him some of the rocks that you've helped me collect?
Yeah, I got him this rock. I got him this rock. I got him these 2 rocks.
You remember what this one is called?
This was called a blue,
Red.
I mean, a red jasper.
Red jasper is fun. Okay.
Thank you for that.
Thanks, little.
You're
I think our
welcome.
son is going to grab some other ones. What was I saying? All right. So
Question.
questions.
Yeah.
Questions. The first question. Oh wait, he's got the rocks. All right.
Oh, this one. Wow.
That's a
big
good one.
rock. Ooh,
That's a big one. Yep.
ooh. Let's get
Careful.
these.
Some more good ones. Yes.
And this. And then we have the best. And then we have the best rock that me and Daddy made together, and we put a straw and we painted it black, and then it looks like
That is not.
A lot of money.
So good.
Yeah.
What's the power couple?
What is a power couple?
I don't know. You're
What's your
pink.
question? What's your question?
Sir.
Thought you was gonna ask me. It is not something that's simple to define. It's not. This is a power couple. A power couple is they match, not necessarily the same, but they match each other's energy, each other's vibe, each other's goals, aspirations, have similarities that not only complement each other, but challenge each other.
I like that.
Mhm.
I like that. I think people lean heavily into the idea of like a couple has to be matching or a couple has to like be two opposites that attract. But there's something to be said about the blend, the harmony
Absolutely.
that happens when folks come together, and not because of your differences or because of your similarities, but
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, harmony and balance, I love to say. Those two words is the goal, right? But balance is not 50-50 type of scale. Balance is stability, whether that's, 85-15 or, any other way that it shifts and it moves, but you have to be able to,
Are you trying to sit on your
shift as the world shifts, as life shifts, you move, right? So if we had a moment where we could be 50-50 and we're both feeling good versus, okay, I have to take over 80 and all you have is 20 to give, as long as we are connected on that. And we understand like, okay, I need to step up because you don't have it right now, but I have it for us. And, being able to shift through life like that, life is gonna give it to you either way.
1,000%. And as much as I think it's important for us to recognize those moments where we step up and step back, it's also like acknowledging the experience of the other person who has to step up or step back in that season. And seasons where I have to step back and create space for you to step up, that stuff is tough for me. Like as a person who wants to be a provider or who has that, like I set the expectation for myself to be the person who's always like offering or I know I constantly see myself in the position of being a provider. So as the person who's constantly looking at myself as a provider, when we have a season where it's like, okay, like I need to in this season step back and invest in my development or invest in research or understanding or connecting or something other than being the sole provider for the family, like that's a tough season. Like that's a moment where I have to do a ton of my own reflection. I have to do a ton of my own internal reconciling. And so it's super helpful when, as a couple, we can trust each other to lean in and be at our best, whatever season we happen to be in. I think that matters. I think that matters deeply. So,
Yeah.
you know, I generally like to start these conversations with what's giving you energy this week. And so that, you know, beautiful that our children jumped in and like wanted to be a part of this. And I want to make sure I create space for that. What's giving you energy this week?
I guess I took this week to step back from work,
Mhm.
right? And so to lean into family time and, you know, to recharge. So I think this week that has given me a lot of energy is to make space for, you know, myself, you know, me and mine at the same time, because that's important. Life gets busy. And so taking that moment to do that, definitely children keep you present.
Keep
So
you present.
very present
My Lord.
in this moment in particular.
Yes, indeed.
But you know, yes, taking time off.
Good. I think that's super important. I think I've had a lot of conversations, especially recently, with a ton of folks about just that value of taking time to collect yourself, to be restored, to be well rested, so that you know you can get into the work that you do and bring 100% of your capacity to that space. And I've recognized that there are a ton of folks who just have a good amount of anxiety around this idea of taking time off.
Yeah, we're gonna go into that.
Yeah, just a little bit. Might as well. Yeah, you know, me personally, I take time off, you know, with well, let's say it's tough. Okay, all right. No, truthfulness. Okay,
Yeah.
truthfulness is important.
Yeah.
Taking time off is challenging for myself in the world of entrepreneurship, is especially now, but even before.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for saying this so I didn't have to.
It's always been a challenge because I've always been super committed to being effective in the work that I do, being successful at the work that I do, and I have a constant pull to be present
And responsive.
and responsive, like hyper responsive.
Yeah.
So that creates a challenge when it's time to care for self. But that doesn't mean it's any less important.
Mhm.
So shout out to you for like making space and doing what you needed to do.
Yeah. And enforcing that space for you. I feel like I'd be like, no, no, no,
We've had those moments.
no.
We've had those moments.
If you can't text, I can't do it. I will happily text for you because you just told me how exhausted you were.
Mhm. Mhm.
This is a moment to say no. Or next week, some other time.
That's-
Ernest likes red eyes and yes, right now. Oh, a meeting got canceled in my very full scheduled day.
Yeah.
Let me see who I can put in there because somebody asked me for a meeting. Sir,
Feel the time.
no. Fill the time with taking a second. Breathe for a second. Recenter yourself for a second. And I'm not an expert at it. I've had my seasons where full-time grad students, full-time employee, and raising a couple of small kids. So that was a moment of go, go, go. And I understand that. But it can be seasons. It cannot be always.
For sure.
I think
For
you're
sure.
learning that.
I am. Thank you.
You're learning that.
Look at me. This is growth. This is growth. Amen. Right. So the real questions, because we do have a plan, documented strategy for these conversations. Challenges is one of the things that I love to get into. When you think about some of the challenges that you've had to face in your life, personally, professionally, what have you, is there a challenge, you know, recently or whenever that you feel like stands out as an experience that helped to shape who you've become?
Well, yeah, most definitely. In the past, in the present, and in the future, I think what my biggest challenge is, and has been for most of my life, is, my medical struggle, my medical challenges. I kind of developed a body that loves to challenge me on a daily basis. And so, I have a diagnosis of scleroderma, and what that is my body fights itself on a daily basis, right? Simply put, it's just argue. Everything argues all the time. And so it's always a challenge because it creates chronic pain, chronic fatigue, and all the things that come with that, right? Discomfort. And so it has been a challenging thing for me since being diagnosed as a preteen up until now, and it continues to do that. But it makes me grow in ways of learning to connect with myself, right? Like, there's things about myself I would not have known if, I didn't go through the challenges I've gone through with it, right? It has set me down. It has taught me to take the time for myself. It has laid me down, not sat, it has laid me out, okay? So there's that. And I know because there's been some very tough moments and times throughout time, right? It has had me learn to understand who I am, and I'm still doing that. But what I mean, I guess, by that is, going through life, people are like, oh man, you can't do this and you can't do that. And I'm like, watch this, right? Like, I'm gonna prove you wrong, even if that means when I'm done, I'm probably gonna be in the hospital for a good 2 weeks, but I did it. And you at the fullest run capacity. And then it's like, how can I do that without putting myself in the hospital? And, trying to keep up with the things that people do, right? Oh, you full-time mom, full-time employee, doing this, doing that. I could do that too, when they burnt out doing it. And I have a challenged body. And so it's like, well, that's not smart necessarily, right? I thought it was at the time, but now I'm in a season of, it still is a challenge, but it's teaching me to take a break when I need it, right? And then think about the challenges. Even though I know to take a break, I'm still like, it's tough. It's tough to take a break right now because naturally life is lifing. So it's like, it doesn't feel like a moment to take a break. But if I stop and say, okay, what do I feel? What's going on in my body? What am I thinking? How am I responding to people, right? Like, oh, you just annoyed me and you just took a breath. You just coughed. And I was like, ugh. And it's like, oh, okay. Something's going on with me that I don't necessarily know. And it was a roller coaster ride, trying to figure out what this meant for me. So yeah, past, present, and I'm sure in the future, it's gonna keep me in tune with myself.
Yeah, no, that's good to know. It's what it makes me think about is, conversation we had recently where it's like I had to stop censoring myself from your experience.
Yes.
Right? Like,
yes.
Those moments of passing frustration, or like just an instance of like, discomfort, frustration, whatever it is.
What did I do?
What did I do? Like, that was my thing, because it's that sense of responsibility, right? As a husband, to feel like, oh, if my wife isn't like in a perfect state of being, whether that's like joy and happiness, wellness, whatever, it's because I did something wrong. And in that moment, I'm like, okay, so now I got to figure out what I did and how do I fix it? What do I need to do differently in this moment? And, in order to fix the current experience, but also like, how do I fix it from happening ever again? And it didn't have nothing to do with me in the first place. But, that's It's the assumptions are made.
It is, and it's, I think it's important. And, you know, communication, right? Shout out to the connection and awareness of even knowing that there was a shift in me.
Yeah.
In that moment. That's important too, right? For a couple to be in tune. But there is this part of, what did you do in this moment? Like, what is your part in the issue, right? Because you're gonna have issues regardless, and you gotta be like, the best way to get through it is to check yourself and say, what did I add to this, right? And so that is an important piece. However, you know, when you like, what, you know, all of what did you do, all of what did I do, it brings you nowhere. You spiral, right? There's nowhere to go with that. So I want to say shout out to that connection and awareness, because that is important. And yes, there is this piece of don't assume, right? You know, I'm like, ask the question. If you over there like, what did I do? I just, there was a whole shift. And I just, something just happened in this moment. Did I say, hey, I noticed, did I do something?
Let it be a conversation instead of letting it be an assumption.
Yes, and I can say, well, here's what happened. Here's what my shift is. Or I didn't notice the shift. But let's
Talk to them.
but you noticed something. So let's see what that is, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's big. That's big. I think I hope I hope people take that and really receive it, man, and internalize it, because it's those moments happen all the time.
Yeah.
They're fleeting. Like it's like I said, it's a passing frustration, it's a passing anxiety, and it's like it's a raised eyebrow, it's a shifted gaze. It's little moments like that when you pick up on it and you make an assumption about what it is, and you just let your assumption live and breathe instead of checking on that assumption and actually having a conversation about that moment. You miss a real opportunity to strengthen your relationship. And it could seem like a shallow moment, especially if that's the assumption you're making. But it can be a really powerful opportunity if folks just would lean into it.
Yeah, as a couple, but also as an individual, right? Oh, I didn't even notice. Thank you for pointing out something in me so I can be aware, check myself, right?
That's big. That's big. Okay. I'm thinking about like my challenge that I feel like has shaped me, and the thing that sticks out in my mind is our move here. Yeah, so for all the listeners out there in the universe, we made the decision to move our family from the state of Minnesota all the way down to the state of Georgia at the height of the pandemic. So right in the year of our Lord 2020. And
August of 2020 to be
August
exact.
of 2020.
Yeah.
And you know, the world shut down in March. We had already made the decision and had the tough conversations that need to be had to set ourselves up for the transition. But then March came and the world shut down, and we had to like come back together like, man, are we really gonna do this? And we decided to follow through with it, because it wasn't a light thing. Like that was not a easy decision to make, but it felt like the right decision to make. And I think navigating that experience really molded who I've become on some levels personally, on some levels professionally, but like leaning into the values that I have around family and, you know, getting an understanding of boundaries and prioritizing wellness. So many different layers to it, because it was such a challenge in so many different ways.
Yeah.
It
Even
really-
protector was in there too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We moved down to an area we were completely unfamiliar with, into a new space, into a new neighborhood, and during a season where there's like mass chaos and confusion about, what it means to stay safe and well. So that was a lot. And I think that was a moment of growth and learning myself. And yeah, that thing, it sticks with me.
I think we're still in that.
I feel true.
If I have to be honest, because we are much more settled than we were. We were floating,
Yeah.
and having children and homeschooling and doing all of that, not knowing what was going to happen next. But there's a lot that I would say I learned as well in that, to where we've had some conversations now that's like, okay, that sucked. We're happy that we did it. It was supposed to, it needed to happen. And we're happy that we did it. And who did it kick our butt? Like, to say the least, we leaning on each other. There's moments where we was like, hey, I got 20, you got 20. We're gonna operate at this. 40% is our net right now.
I'm telling you.
This-
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
just it. You get through it though. Day to day,
Yes.
moment to moment, really. And
Mhm.
I think that there's a blessing and a lesson in it to continue to lean and support each other and continue to appreciate the opportunity that we have to live this life, man. It's different. It's different.
Yeah, and to live this life, it was definitely like, man, okay, this sucks right now. And these are the things that's going great, right? And I think that's what also was helpful in maintaining and being able to still go. Like, I mean, life don't stop, time don't stop, it keeps going. So instead of being, being dragged by it, maybe a little crawl at first. But I had some control over the moment, right? We had some control over the moment, which was a lesson, but also a very big teaching moment for us both. Because I speak for me, but I know there were moments where it was like, I don't like you. I don't like you right now. I love you very much, but I don't like you, right? And, processing that whole thing. Yep. But moments of chaos, moments of struggle, of challenge that make you grow as a couple. And to say, I don't like you right now. To say, I need some space, right? And for, you to be like, I'm struggling too. I feel some type of way too. Like, not take it personally or get defensive, right? It's that balance of, this is what you need, right? Because back to the, what did I do? What did I do? And it's like, this is not necessarily a what did you do? Even if you did get on my nerves or say something that caused frustration, it's like, this moment is not about you. This is about what I need to do to get myself better so I can come back and say, okay, I was tripping. I had a moment, right? But all of that in the midst, there's all those lessons of check yourself and check in with each other. Mm-hmm.
That's it. Okay, good stuff. So I want to give folks just a little bit of insight on what we do professionally. That might help just for some context. So what do you do? What is you doing? What is you doing, dude?
Oh, what am I doing? It's clear what I do, and I love what I do, and what I do is hard, and which actually adds to the whole pandemic and move and all of that. I do psychotherapy. So I do talk therapy with people. I talk with individuals, couples, married couples or not married couples, and families. Right now I have a family of 4 people who I see on telehealth, right? And that's another barrier to that. But as the world shifted, so many people are like super lost, right? And even more than you already got your trauma, your whatever you're working on, your mental health, your career. And then to come into a world of like, this isn't normal. And then what's, the violence and murder, things going on in the community that brought like a wave of new challenges and experiences for me in the field. And I say that because I'm in a time of deep reflection about what it is I do, so that I can continue to do that well, but practice what I preach and take care of myself in that, right? So yes, I'm a mental health practitioner in non-normal, what kind of world are we living in right now? So yes, I do that. And I do like wellness and lifestyle coaching. So if you're like, not necessarily therapy, but very like transformative, you want to be better, you want to change, you don't know necessarily how, or you have goals that are unclear, unfinished, stuff like that. Guidance counseling, some of that stuff, just to say like, we've all been in a place where it's like, I'm supposed to go somewhere, but I don't really know where exactly. So I provide support with those moments. And I am also a Prepare and Enrich facilitator, which is a non-therapeutic couples series. It's about anywhere between 8 to 12 sessions where I work with couples on either premarital, like, okay, we're about to get married. So what are our strengths as a couple and what are our weaknesses and how can we, use our strengths or develop some skills for, bettering those growth areas that we have. And in a marriage, it's like, we fell off. Something's not quite connecting. And it is some of that to say, okay, here are the areas that we're still doing well in. And here are the areas where we fell off. And let's really talk about that on a super deep level. It's not just like, what are your financial goals, right? It's much more than like, how are you being challenged personally, financially? Like what is your personal challenge in contributing to the household in that way? Communication. Do you shut down? Do you, do you do too much? Hey, what's going on? Like, okay. Yeah. We'll go with that. Yes, so a couple of different things. That is what I do.
Be an incredible mother and wife. Also.
Oh, we talking about unpaid jobs too. Okay. We're having a moment.
I'm sorry. Son,
you have a hurt feelings moment over here.
You hurt your sister's feelings. Okay, you guys go play together and have fun, okay?
And be nice.
Love you. Don't be biting my arm, girl. Get out of here. Go play, little.
No.
Okay.
Now.
Harper is the child that tends to like attention.
Yeah.
In the spotlight, she has a lot to say and do, and is very expressive of all of her emotions, which we definitely, teach our children to express themselves, right? But of course, children are trying to figure out what is life, right? And so it's like, okay, yeah, this hurt your feelings, but what, like, come on, let's work through it and figure out what makes sense about how you are expressing yourself, right? Is this thing worth the big reaction, right? That doesn't mean you can't feel it, you know, and your feelings are valid. And you don't have to, you know, it's it's a what did I do moment. It's a what did I do moment that comes through, and it's like, I feel extremely bad, right?
Okay.
And so it's like, which I don't know if this is part of it, but it brings me to a point of like, you know, as you learn about you, to teach your kids at the same time, you know, it's not necessarily like, oh, I don't have that to give you because I don't know, you know, it's like, here's what I learned. Here's what we're gonna learn together. And, you know, doing that, especially because these kids keep us grounded and aware and present. And so.
But you gotta teach as you learn. Like that's
absolutely.
That's the only way to go. Like if you learn a lesson in real time and you avoid the vulnerability that it requires and the courage that it requires to teach as you are learning, you're gonna put yourself and your family in a really tough situation because like we all gotta grow together. I guess that's a major element to what it looks like to keep a family healthy. So that's a really good point. I appreciate you calling that out.
Yeah, you can't say, hold on, kids. You're having some generational trauma or some similar issues that I'm having.
Yeah.
Let me figure it out first. And then I will teach you or guide you or help you or support you. And it's like, it's gonna be too late then. You have to do that now in any way that you can, right? There is no hold on. It's like, oh, Jesus, I'm trying to figure out how to. What am I doing right now? You know what? Okay, so here it is.
Yep.
That is tough. And here's what I think we could do. Let's try that together. I don't know if that's exactly how that goes, right? But also encourage them to think for themselves, to problem solve, to conflict, you know, resolve. Yeah, in the moment, it is, I think, important with that, apologizing to even children. Because I know I'll be like, what?
Necessary.
Oh, you were just asking a question. I'm sorry. I was somewhere else for a moment.
Kids don't get apologies from adults, man.
Oh, It is not, especially, I would say, especially in the Black community. You know, it's not really I'm sorry for yelling or losing my temper, or I'm sorry for, you know, how you are feeling right now, right? And so, and I see a lot of that. A lot of clients are like, you know, I didn't necessarily like that. And they go to the extreme opposite. So then you get a different kind of child, you know, once it's like severely disciplined, like just hardcore discipline, don't show emotion, keep working, you know, just keep going, versus coddled and enabled and whatever on the other side. And it's like, you gotta find that sweet middle spot that's like, I need you to learn how to be in a world that's not necessarily always forgiving, that is tough, but you also should expect or require care, respect, love,
absolutely,
all of those things, but know that everybody ain't gonna like you. And it's not necessarily like they don't like you because of this. It's like, no, they just decided they don't like, and you know, that has to be okay. And then figure out who you want to be surrounded with. So I could keep going in all the lessons. Like I've had growing up so many issues trying to be in relationship with other people. And through my challenges have made me who I am in that sense too, right? Like when we started dating, I didn't think I was gonna get married. It was not a thing. not a thing for me. I was like, oh, I have too many health issues. I can't be a wife. I can't, do that. Transparency with you there, right? I was told I wouldn't be able to have kids. Like,
Yeah, look at us now. Hey, all right, what are you doing?
2 of them,
Yes,
a whole 2, and we were like, that's enough.
that's
Okay,
plenty.
thank you.
You do have a lot of cousins.
Cousins
yes.
are different.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
But yeah, I probably went off just a little bit
No, it's
into
good.
the realm of kids, but I feel like, for those couples, right, who have kids, it's easy to get sunken into paying attention to the kids and losing yourself as a couple. So making time and space for that, doing the things, date each other still, right?
Yes.
And then checking on those changes, because I'm a different person than when I had no kids to when I had 1 kid. So now that I have 2 kids. And the age of my kids, it's like I am changing too. So it's important to say, how do you think you've changed? How do you want to change?
It's a whole conversation. It's a whole conversation. Creating space for it. We started doing our coffee dates.
Rituals.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So once a week, we implemented this ritual of just going to a coffee shop and sitting down for a conversation where we could talk finances, where we could talk relationship, where we could talk goals. And in that space, we've had some really, really powerful conversations, some strong revelations, and it's really helped us to grow closer, to grow wiser, and to really put some plans in place that'll help us to be a stronger family. What's up, son? Goofball. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Okay. And I think so if you're watching the podcast, you probably know a little bit about what I do, but I do more strategic planning, facilitation, some one-on-one guidance. So similar in the way that you provide the guidance on like personal development and interpersonal relationships. The guidance I provide is more about career advancement, professional development, and helping folks understand how to appreciate the leadership experience that they're having and navigate the organizational culture that they experience. And so there's some connections between what Leila and I do. Mine is more on the career side and yours is more on the professional side, but there's some opportunities to bring some things together. We're gonna do some plotting and scheming. What's up?
Stay tuned. There's definitely some collaboration that's gonna happen. There's a lot of development. There's always room to be better, right? Whether it's more specific to career or personal growth, right? It overlaps. And so, yes, other work that we do, it does overlap. So thinking of something that we can come together and do with that is exciting. Life is busy right now, but yeah, the hope is to come up with something that is different, that opens up new areas of exploration and discovery in people.
We're gonna see. There's something there. There's something there. When you think about all the things you've been able to do professionally and as a mom, as a wife, is there something that sticks out to you that you're just grateful for, right? Like this is something that has been super profound in my life, and I'm just really grateful I had that experience.
Well, the first thing that pops in my mind is becoming a mother, right? Yeah. Especially from, like I said, so long ago, being told I wouldn't be able to. But clearly God sent me a husband that said, I'm okay that we don't have kids, but watch this. So that was actually when we tried to transition down here.
Oh man!
Is when we found out we were pregnant and ended up staying in Minnesota. Yeah, and then was like, okay, let's try this again, and then we were pregnant again. So it was like, let's sit down for a second. I don't think we should let's take a minute, back up. But motherhood for me, from beginning to end, right? Child in the womb to now having a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old is like, it's hard. Like it is so tough. I have moments of mommy guilt. I cry, I have challenges on, did I handle that the best way I could have? Am I doing it? What type of parents am I right now? Right? Because that is a major role and it's a very important role for me. And it's very rewarding. There are just moments, and my children have pushed me into areas of life where I'm like, never have I ever thought that this would be me or who I am or something I would do, and has increased my ability to actually be the type of professional I am, right? Because there's a level of compassion and empathy and being able to listen, right? To actually listen to what people are saying, to understand them and who they are. And I think my experience of being a mother has increased that, has the natural qualities of myself. Because let's be honest, it's not everybody can easily be empathetic or have compassion for others. And in a world like what we live in now, it's easy to be like, nope, I don't have it for you. So yes, I would say becoming a mother was that for me in more than one way, but we don't have enough time for this podcast. Talk about my journey over the last 10 and a half years of motherhood.
There's a lot to it. We got layers.
Yes.
We definitely got layers. But it's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. Okay. So one of the last things I like to get into that I didn't prepare you for is that the Pancakes from Scratch podcast really came out of this idea of an intersection between food and culture and ambition, right? And we've talked about it a little bit, but it's when you think about the role that food plays in our community and in like shaping who we become, there's really something to it, because it's not just like what you like, the flavors you enjoy, but it's about like the whole experience of preparing meals and sharing meals together and breaking bread with people that you love and admire. So all that to say, do we have a favorite family meal?
In our household?
In our household, what would be our favorite family meal?
Okay.
What's interesting, and I was going to say chicken wing and French fries. Chicken wings,
true.
and I feel like chicken drummies and French fries, because in our house, and I have to think about that some more, because I think like turkey burgers.
Turkey is a strong number 2.
Yeah, but it is, and I think about it as like, we have some that we're like, oh man, this is so good, but the kids is like,
they're not feeling it.
what is that right there? I mean, that don't look that don't look right to me.
Yeah.
But if we all sat down and yes, like my hype man back here, co-signer, and everybody smashes the chicken, right? So Ernest is the chicken. Like, he does. You make great chicken, babe.
Oh, thank you.
Like, you really do.
I appreciate
And
it.
it's funny because it goes back to what I have to say about your gourmet chicken abilities is when we were dating. Oh no, it must be said. All Ernest made was chicken.
I don't think
that's all he knew how to make. That's all he wanted to make. I mean, it was a broke college student days, but it's like, come to my dorm, I'm gonna make dinner. It's like, okay, yeah, dinner. Chicken. I'm like, okay, chicken.
Wings.
Chicken.
Yeah, full of flavor.
Chicken and what? Kool-Aid.
Naturally, right? That's what everybody was thinking. We were all on the same page. Me and the rest of the world was on the same.
No,
This is
stop lying. Stop lying, your big hairy chin. 3 little things out of my
I told you to keep us to keep us on our toes. And very careful. Yes, no, Ern has these moments of, yeah, everybody agrees with that. And I think deep down inside, he knows that that's not necessarily true, but he wants it to, common or normal that people just make chicken and chicken is a meal. And it's like, yeah, chicken is chicken, but you put stuff with it to make it a meal, not a drink, not Kool-Aid, right? But so I say all that because it just goes way back to how he's perfected his chicken making abilities, and it is
Shout out to the air fryer.
Air fryer life is nice.
New levels.
Nice.
New levels. Air
Yes.
fryer is definitely turned up the
Mhm.
gourmet presentation and preparation game.
Yeah.
All right. And now we got the sweet potato fries. Right. So we done elevated the palate. We done elevate, we've grown. We've grown from chicken wings and Kool-Aid. We've evolved. Okay. Life has shifted for us. We doing all right now.
And that's part of healthier eating, right? Like not
Very
making
good
it in the oil, not doing whatever. It was a healthier starch choice. And that's another way it's changed. And I think why it's hard to say, because I think we could be like, oh, it's this dish, right? But we are transforming into healthier eating. And so even the way we make the chicken and things like that is different, right? The way we make lasagna, it's loaded with vegetables. It's not just meat, cheese, and noodles. It's like, okay, what are some substitutes or things we can change up in that? Going to turkey burgers instead of, your beef burgers and stuff like that. So I think for now, I will say chicken and French fries. And I will say, let's come back to that after we get real nice and settled into new ways of cooking.
Yeah, and after our children refine their palates,
Ugh.
they gotta
So we
grow
can
into
agree.
some things so we can switch it up a little bit.
Mhm.
I feel good. Love your family, love your children,
Fathers and their daughters.
love your spouse,
Love you, mommy. Love you, daddy. Oh, wait.
Love you.
love you. She did not just. All right,
Love you very much.
y'all be good. We gonna, that was just a good episode. All right, y'all.